Good afternoon, I'm Anne Asis-Carilo. Today on Newsfeed at noon. President Bongbong Marcos finally signs the controversial 2025 national budget. The Philippine National Police orders its units to assist the public amid rising firecracker-related injuries. Free rides on LRT2 and several events nationwide as the country marks the 128th Rizal Day. And customers troop to the popular Ongpin street as customers flock for lucky charms and feng shui advice for 2025. Thank you for joining us. After more than a week's delay and widespread criticism over several controversial items in the government spending plan, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. finally signed into law the proposed 6.326 trillion peso national budget for fiscal year 2025. In a speech in Malacanang earlier this morning, the president said he vetoed over 194 billion pesos worth of line items in the proposed budget. The vetoed items include some programs and projects of the Department of Public Works and Highways and unprogrammed appropriations that increased by 300%. The move comes after controversial changes to the proposed budget, such as the removal of over 10 billion pesos for the Education Department's computerization program, a 373 billion peso increase in unprogrammed appropriations, and zero funding for the subsidy of PhilHealth. He also directed the implementation of the controversial AKAP program to the combined efforts of the social welfare, labor, and economic planning agencies.
While the final version of the budget reflects many of our shared priorities, some provisions required careful scrutiny. The Filipino people have spoken. Every centavo must go to programs that truly uplift lives, strengthen communities, secure the future development of the Philippines. There were calls to veto the entire budget and to revert to a reenacted one. However, this is not an option that we can afford. After an exhaustive and thorough review, we have directly vetoed over 194 billion worth of the line items that are not consistent with our program priorities. These include allocations for certain programs and projects of the Department of Public Works and Highways and those under the unprogrammed appropriations, which increased by 300%. We shall also pursue conditional implementation on certain items to ensure that the people's funds are utilized in accordance with their authorized and stated purpose. Specifically, to ensure that government assistance is not merely a provisional solution to a persistent issue, we are compelled to subject the implementation of the Ayuda sa Kapos ng Kita program, or AKAP, to the convergence efforts of the DSWD, DOLE, and NEDA. This way, we ensure that its implementation will be strategic, leading to the long-term improvement of the lives of qualified beneficiaries, while guarding against misuse and duplication and fragmented benefits.
President Marcos called on Filipinos to reflect on the legacy of Dr. Jose Rizal as the country marks the 128th anniversary of his martyrdom today. In his Rizal Day message, the president said the national hero's vision of a just and forward-thinking society is no less alive today than it was more than a century ago. He emphasized that the values of patriotism, truth, and dedication to the welfare of the people that Rizal espoused remain crucial to the country's progress. President Marcos and the First Family led the wreath-laying ceremony at the Rizal National Monument in Manila earlier this morning. Vice President Sara Duterte also released a video statement recalling the nation's heroes' courage, or national heroes' courage, amid abuses.
Ngayong araw sa pagunitan natin sa buhay ni Jose Rizal, alalahanin natin ang kanyang katapangan sa harap ng pang-aapi. Ang napakatinding pagsubok na kanyang pinagdaanan ay nagpapaalala sa atin na kahit sa pinakamadilim na oras, ang liwanag ng katotohanan at katarungan ay maaaring manaig. Parangalan natin ang kanyang alaala sa pamamagitan ng paninindigan para sa tama at kolektibong pagsusumikap tungo sa mas makatarungan, pantay at tunay na malayang Pilipinas. Ang lahat ng ginagawa natin ay para sa Diyos, sa bayan at sa bawat pamilyang Pilipino. Syukran.
Similar activities were also conducted in key locations across the country. Educational exhibits, cultural shows, and community programs are also scheduled to celebrate Rizal's life and teachings. The Philippine National Police orders all units on heightened alert to assist the public amid rising firecracker injuries in the country. In a statement, PNP Chief General Romel Francisco Marbil assured that their officers are trained and equipped to handle emergencies, from providing immediate first aid to assisting in fire response operations. The PNP statement comes after the Health Department reported a staggering 35% increase in firecracker-related injuries compared to last year. Of the 142 injuries recorded on Sunday, 104 were linked to illegal firecrackers, while 60% of the victims were identified as active firecracker users. Alarmingly, 81% of the injuries involved minors, highlighting a concerning trend as families prepare for New Year celebrations. The most common culprits for these injuries include notorious illegal firecrackers like Boga, Five Star, and Piccolo. Meantime, General Marbil also warned against unsafe practices such as burning tires and blocking roads, which hinder emergency response efforts. Anyone caught engaging in such activities will face appropriate sanctions. The PNP called on the public to remain alert and report suspicious activities immediately. Police assistance desks are available in strategic locations to address any incidents or concerns. A rainy Rizal day in parts of the country today. Weather Bureau Pag-asa warns of moderate to heavy rainfall across various regions due to the shear line and the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ. Areas expected to be affected include Cagayan, Apayao, Isabela, Aurora, and Quezon, among others. Rainfall amounts could reach between 50 to 100 millimeters, leading to potential localized flooding in urban and coastal areas. As of 5 a.m., the shear line is impacting central and southern Luzon, while the ITCZ affects Palawan and parts of Mindanao. Residents are advised to prepare for cloudy skies and possible thunderstorms throughout the day. Only 2 people reportedly survived the plane crash in South Korea on Sunday. The Jeju Air flight from Bangkok was carrying 175 passengers and 6 crew when disaster struck at the airport in Muan County in the country's southwestern tip. South Korean media showed footage of the plane sliding on its belly at high speed before it hit an embankment and exploded. Experts say the landing gear appeared not to have fully deployed before landing, but what caused the delay remains unclear. Aviation analysts say more evidence is needed before South Korean authorities can determine the cause of the crash. The CEO of Jeju Air apologized to the victims of the plane crash. In a short media briefing, Kim Lee-bae said they will cooperate with investigators and focus on supporting the victims' families.
사고로 인해서 유명을 달리하신 탑승객
I would like to express my deepest condolences and apologies to the passengers who have passed away due to this accident and their family members. Jeju Air will make every effort to resolve the situation quickly and support the family members of the passengers. In addition, we will do our best to find out the cause of the accident with the government. We have serviced this aircraft in accordance with the maintenance program, and there was no sign of anything unusual with this plane.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has apologized for the Azerbaijan Airlines flight that crashed after entering Russian airspace in Grozny, Chechnya on Wednesday. But he did not say that Russia was responsible for the tragedy. A U.S. official told CNN that early indications suggest a Russian anti-aircraft system may have downed the passenger jet. Azerbaijan's president has also accused Russia of accidentally shooting down the plane. At least 38 people were killed in the crash. Among the survivors were 2 children. Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter has passed away at the ripe old age of 100. The Carter Center made the announcement. Carter, who was a Democrat, served as president from 1977 to 1981. During his term, Carter struggled with a bad economy and the Iran hostage crisis. But he brokered a peace deal between Israel and Egypt and later received the Nobel Prize or Nobel Peace Prize for his humanitarian work. Over in California, a Mega Millions ticket holder woke up a lot richer. Billionaire status rich, to be exact. The lucky player won $1.22 billion, the 5th largest jackpot in the history of the draw. That's over 66 billion pesos. The owner of the store in Cottonwood, California, where the ticket was sold, is also celebrating on behalf of the winner, whose identity is still under wraps. We are taking a break. Still to come, find out which Bilyonarios got richer in 2024 and those that fell short. That and more when Newsfeed at Noon returns.
Good morning, everyone!
Oh, I know, right?
Join Paulo Del Rosario,
Let's get you up to speed with some news that you could use right now.
Anne Asis-Carilo,
We are bringing happiness and cheer along with inspiration, good vibes, and great energy.
and Monique Cuzon.
Your mornings are mo fun with us. Always remember to celebrate each day and spread love and kindness wherever you go. Every day is
A beautiful day!
The latest news, national issues, the political scene, and conversations with prominent personalities. All these firsthand at the forefront.
Is still continuing with hearings on the EJ.
Filing
We
is
can
that-
recommend the filing of cases with the proper offices or agencies.
It is always victimizing the poor, so we will continue to go against corruption in the budget.
At the forefront with attorney Karen Jimeno, 8 a.m. This is Weather HQ.
Good morning. Welcome to Weather HQ. I'm Paulo Del Rosario. Today's headline.
Get to know the latest weather update and forecast with information to help us understand important aspects regarding our
will
climate.
help to prevent flash
to
flooding.
provide access to clean water and the system level services to everybody who needs it.
Kung alala po natin, ang northeasterly wind flow po ay malamig na hangin po.
Whatever the weather, here on BNC.
Weather HQ, 9 a.m. The Bilyonaryo News Channel. Rise to prosperity. The 2025 Bilyonaryo News Channel Countdown. Watch for it.
I got into knitwear because when I was already at SM, I was looking through the profile of a lot of the suppliers.
Yes.
And I realized that knitwear was very interesting because it started with a yarn, and then you could actually weave your own material. You could weave the pattern, the texture that you want, choose the right colors that you want also. So that makes you create from the beginning, I mean like from source, which is the yarn, instead of buying a fabric that's already printed or it has its stripes and texture. So that for me was a very interesting challenge.
It was alluring.
Right, and I think it's also because I love craft. So people into craft are usually they love to innovate and create their own thingy.
Light rain showers fell in several parts of the North Luzon Expressway, but traffic along the main thoroughfare remains light. Even in Bocaue, Bulacan, the firecracker capital, where some of our kababayans usually line up to buy noisemakers for the New Year revelries. Let's get updates from Zandro Ochona live in Bocaue. Zandro, hello. How's the situation over there?
Hi, Anne. Majority of those using the Bocaue exit from the North Luzon Expressway are coming here to buy fireworks. Local enforcers are helping ease traffic to ensure those going to the fireworks shops will not cause a gridlock. The light showers are also not enough to dampen the influx of buyers nor the prices of fireworks. Quitis now costs 12 pesos per piece from 8 pesos. A small fountain costs 20 pesos from 15. A big fountain costs 550 from 350. Lucies or sparklers cost 20 per piece from 15 pesos. And Roman candle costs 120 from 80 pesos, while the 16 shots of aerial fireworks cost 1,400 pesos. Prices are expected to rise. Those who are going here to buy fireworks have been buying here for years, and some may even spend a few thousands and would allot budget for fireworks. And that's the situation here. Back to you.
Thank you so much for that report. Zandro Ochona reporting to us live from Bocaue, Bulacan. The Philippine housing prices inched down for the first time in 3 years. Data from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP, showed that the residential real estate price index decreased by more than 2% to 163.9 in the third quarter from 167.7 last year. This marks the first time the index contracted since a nearly 10% drop in the second quarter of 2021. The decline was driven by the decrease in prices of duplex housing units by nearly 50% and a nearly 10% drop in prices of condominium units. The economic policies of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump will play a key role in the trajectory of the local stock market next year. Philippine Stock Exchange President and Chief Executive Officer Ramon Monzon said one of the considerations among investors at the moment is the direction of Trump's economic plan. He added that an outcome favorable to the Philippines may help spur foreign buying. Philippine shares closed the final trading day of the year in negative territory. This came after the PSE index inched down to a nearly 0.2% to close at 65.28. An analyst estimated that the gross domestic product, or GDP, will grow to 5.8% this year. In an interview with Bilyonaryo News Channel's Basis Points, Philippine Institute for Development Studies Senior Research Fellow John Paulo Rivera cited the infrastructure spending, consumption, and investment to the GDP growth. He also forecasted a 6% GDP growth in the fourth quarter of the year due to the holiday spending.
I'm very bullish about, number one, the construction sector, which will continue to boom given the government projects, both public and private, as well as the boom again in the business process outsourcing, as well as the growth of tourism, both local and international. That will drive the 2025 growth of Philippine GDP.
Rivera also forecast that the inflation will slightly accelerate this month due to high consumption, but it will continue to stabilize at the healthy rate of 3%, driven by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas' management of inflation.
But as far as the GDP is concerned, since, as what I have mentioned earlier, we are on an election season, this will be a good fuel for GDP growth, particularly in the first quarter, which would drive the full year, 2025 GDP growth, estimate to be at 6%.
Bilyonaryo Lance Gokongwei upbeat about GoTime's growth prospects. This after the bank reached global unicorn status thanks to some $250 million in fresh funding. New Bank, the largest digital bank in the world, recently invested $150 million in Time, the Gokongwei Group's partner in GoTime. M&G is also bringing in $100 million, bringing Time's valuation to $1.5 billion. Significant shifts in wealth happened among the Philippines' elite in 2024. According to Bilyonaryo.com's analysis of Forbes data, Bilyonaryo Manuel Villar emerged as the richest with a net worth of $10 billion, followed closely by Bilyonaryo Enrique Razon at $8.5 billion. Bilyonaryos Ramon Ang and Lucio Tan also saw substantial gains. Meantime, the Bilyonaryo C family faced challenges, with Bilyonaryo Andrew Tan struggling to maintain his wealth, while the Bilyonaryo Gokongwei family experienced a notable decline. These changes highlight the dynamic nature of wealth in the Philippines, reflecting both opportunities and setbacks for its business leaders. We are taking another breather. Up ahead, authorities are working to reintegrate former inmates released from prisons. Keep it here on Newsfeed at noon. Welcome back to Newsfeed at noon. Again, the headlines. President Bongbong Marcos finally signs the controversial 2025 national budget. The Philippine National Police orders its units to assist the public amid rising firecracker-related injuries. Free rides on LRT2 and several events nationwide as the country marks the 128th Rizal Day. And customers troop to the popular Ongpin street as customers flock for Lucky Charms and Feng Shui advice for 2025. Opposition Senator Risa Hontiveros questioned the usefulness of the Maharlika Investment Funds, or MIF, in looming economic storms. Hontiveros urged President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to prioritize capitalization of the Land Bank of the Philippines and Development Bank of the Philippines, or DBP. She warns that allocating billions of pesos in capital from Land Bank and DBP into the MIF has left the country's economy less prepared to deal with imminent economic risks. She also called the 75 billion pesos capital infusion from state-owned lenders to the Sovereign Wealth Fund as ill-timed and counterproductive. She urges the palace to prepare for imminent economic disruptions under protectionist policies of the incoming Trump administration. The Justice Department and Bureau of Corrections are getting the help of multiple agencies, including the Labor Department, in the reintegration of persons deprived of liberty, or PDLs, upon being freed. That update and more from Agatha Gregorio, reporting live from the new Bilibid prison in Muntinlupa. Agatha, what are the other agencies that will be helping out today?
And DOJ and U4 are also seeking the help of the Health Department, the Social Welfare Department, and TESDA in reintegrating persons deprived of liberty, or PDLs, into society. We witnessed here earlier the culminating activity to free 159 inmates just as the year is ending. But U4 says, including this number, 1,000 have already been released since November 26th. The Bureau adds heinous crime convicts may start getting released for good conduct time allowance early next year, although it was initially targeted for this 2024. The President's plan for a unified chronology and correctional system, Bucor Director General Gregorio Catapang says this would help speed up the reformation and reintegration of former PDLs. And
Agatha, let me repeat my question. Did they give updates on Mary Jane Veloso and the request for clemency?
Well, Anne Katapang says this possibility of clemency or parole would be in the hands of the president. But they are studying if there is legal basis to credit the time Veloso served in Indonesia here in the Philippines. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you so much, Agatha Gregorio, reporting to us live from the new Bilibid prison in Muntinlupa. Thousands of Israelis gather in Tel Aviv in protest against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government and its handling of the conflict in Gaza. The demonstrators are again demanding an end to the 14-month war. They're also calling for a ceasefire that would bring home the hostages still held by Hamas. Since the war broke out in October last year, at least 45,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's offensive.
The way the government is running the country, the control of the extreme right wing on the Prime Minister, and he doesn't seem to have any control over them whatsoever. And it concerns me. I want to see an end to the war. I do support the goal of destroying Hamas because they did terrible things, but I think we've done that as much as possible, and we have to have a ceasefire and we have to end the war and get the hostages back again. And I can't see anybody doing anything to get that going.
This government hasn't done anything good for the Israeli people, nothing at all. Since then, before the 7th of October and even after.
Over in Georgia, Mikhail Kavilashvili has been sworn in as the new president following a tumultuous election period. Kavilashvili was a former lawmaker for the right-wing Georgian Dream Party and a former football star. He is a hardline critic of the West and was the only candidate in the running after opposition parties boycotted the election. Georgia's outgoing president, though, insists her successor is an illegitimate leader who was elected through fraud. World leaders mourn the passing of former U.S. President Jimmy Carter. On X, formerly known as Twitter, European Parliament President Roberta Metsola and French President Emmanuel Macron were among the European leaders expressing their sadness following Carter's demise. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer sent condolences to Carter's family, while Hungarian leader Viktor Orban wrote that his country will always cherish Carter's memory. In the U.S., President-elect Donald Trump said America owes Carter a debt of gratitude, citing his leadership at a pivotal time for the U.S. and his efforts to improve the lives of Americans. Now up ahead, customers troop to Ongpin Street in Binondo as customers flock for Lucky Charms and Feng Shui advice for 2025. Stay with Newsfeed at noon. The San Miguel Corporation-led New NAIA Infracorp, or NNIC, is probing the alleged unfair treatment of baggage porters at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. This came after complaints were lodged against a third-party service provider who handles baggage porterage and retrieval. NNIC said it does not directly employ the porters, but it is committed to ensure fair treatment of all workers at the airport. The provider's contract with Manila International Airport Authority remained valid for 3 years after it was renewed in 2022. The Philippine government wants to sell more of its assets to shore up revenues next year. This is after the Privatization Council, or PRC, approved the recent guidelines on the privatization and disposition of government assets. The Department of Finance, or DOF, said that the new guidelines for public and private sectors institutionalize the PRC's policies and decisions over the years, adding that these will be crucial to ensure that the process, rules, and regulations are clear and transparent. Privatization has already helped shore up revenues this year. The Finance Department said it collected 4.4 billion pesos from the Privatization Management Office's disposition efforts as of the end of December 2024. One of the notable sales include the disposition of the government shares in the North Luzon Expressway Corporation, worth around 2.9 billion pesos. The Makati Business Club calls for a more transparent and accountable process in finalizing the proposed 6.3 trillion peso national budget for 2025. In a statement, the MBC commends the initiative of President Bongbong Marcos in scrutinizing the bicameral approved budget before its final passage. But the group has expressed alarm over the adjustments made by the bicameral committee. These include the 1.1 trillion peso budget for the Public Works Department, which is higher than the budget of the Education Department. The group warns this may violate the constitutional rule of giving the highest allotment for the DepEd. The group also questions the 26 billion allotment for the Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program, citing the lack of information as to how this will be implemented. Now, attention to Filipino travelers heading to Europe. A new law in the European Union mandates that all new mobile phones, tablets, and many electronic devices must be equipped with a USB Type-C charging port. This change is designed to simplify charging options and reduce electronic waste across the 27-nation bloc. This regulation means even Apple will have to adapt its devices to comply with the new standard. This law not only benefits consumers, but also the environment. For Filipinos planning to explore iconic destinations like Paris or Rome, this could mean fewer chargers to pack and a more convenient travel experience.
We are replacing this pile of chargers with just this. The simplest solutions are often the best and most practical ones. And the simple solution each year will save thousands of tons of electronic waste, facilitate the reuse of old electronics, better consumer convenience, reduce unnecessary costs, and also help to save millions of euros.
The Quiapo Church has released the schedule of activities leading up to the much-anticipated Feast of the Black Nazarene in 2025. According to the church's Facebook page, the festivities will kick off with a walk of Thanksgiving on December 31st, starting at midnight. Following this, from January 1 to 6, the church will hold barangay visitations throughout the Quiapo district. On January 2, devotees can participate in the blessing of the Nuestro Padre Jesus Nazareno replica at 1:30 p.m. The main events will take place at the Quirino Grandstand, where a mass for volunteers is set for January 6 at 6 p.m. The celebration culminates with a traditional translacion on January 9, featuring a midnight mass and a vibrant procession of the revered black image of Jesus Christ. Last year, this event attracted over 6.5 million attendees, marking a triumphant return after pandemic restrictions. Now, good news for commuters in Metro Manila. The LRT Line 2 is offering free rides in celebration of Rizal Day. According to the Light Rail Transit Authority, the free rides are available from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. The last train from Antipolo will leave at 9 p.m., while the last train from Recto Station will depart at 9:30 p.m. Meanwhile, various events are prepared at Rizal Park and other locations across the country to commemorate the heroism of Gat Jose Rizal. And you're back on Newsfeed at noon. After 5 straight weeks of increases, local pump prices are finally heading lower. Effective Tuesday, December 31st, gasoline and diesel prices will go down by 30 centavos per liter. Kerosene prices will also be slashed by 90 centavos per liter. The Energy Department said the rollback was due to continued expectations of an oversupply in the oil market next year. Motorists can now use the Skyway Stage 3 Quezon Avenue Extension exit. This is after San Miguel Corporation's infrastructure unit opened the Maria Clara exit of the Quezon Avenue Extension. It is expected to help ease traffic over the long weekend ahead of New Year's Eve, and there will also be no additional toll charges for its use. An annual festival in Ibi, Spain, transformed the town into a battlefield of flour and eggs. Saturday's Els and Farinats festival featured participants dressed in mock military uniforms. They engaged in a chaotic yet joyous fight, marking over 200 years of this unique tradition. Locals and visitors alike joined the festivities, celebrating not only the Day of the Holy Innocents, but also fostering community spirit. Residents from flood-hit areas were invited to partake in the fun, highlighting a sense of solidarity and support. As flower flew and laughter echoed through the streets, Ibi reminded everyone that amidst chaos, there's a shared joy in tradition.
Ens han convidat en el poble d'Ibi a passar un dia meravellós després de tot el que ens ha passat. Ens han convidat a la fàbrica de xoguets, a almorzar, a dinar, no podem estar més agraïts, la veritat.
I'm here because for me it's very interesting celebration here. You know, it's the beginning of carnival time, and I love to travel around Europe, you know, to participate, to take picture of this celebration. For me it's a very powerful meaning, a human meaning.
Thousands gathered in Times Square, New York for the annual Good Riddance Day, a symbolic event where participants let go of the negativity from the past year. Hosted by actor Jonathan Bennett, the event encouraged visitors to share what they wanted to erase from their lives as they prepare for 2025. With a large banner overhead, attendees wrote their frustrations on small chalkboards and wiped them clean, embracing a fresh start. From procrastination to bed bugs, the sentiments were heartfelt.
What are you getting rid of? Laziness. It's time to lock in. Okay. What are you saying goodbye to? Letting others have a say in who I am. It's like the song This Is Me, right? I'll hold it. You wipe. All right, go for it, buddy. Here we go. Yes. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Happy New Year.
And as the new year approaches, the popular Ongpin street in Binondo, Manila transforms into a vibrant hub for those seeking good luck and prosperity. Our Francis Falbe spoke to a Feng Shui expert who shares predictions and tips for attracting good fortune in the upcoming year of the wood snake.
Rows of stores in Ongpin Street in Binondo, Manila are now filled with various lucky charms. Shoppers flock here to bring some good fortune for the coming year 2025. Some well-known personalities and business people regularly consult with the Feng Shui expert Tita Maxi.
Sa year of the 2025 is a wood snake. Snake yun, di ba? Snake, mabait. Pero pag nagagalit, naka-attack. So medyo mga government magulo, lalo na sa election. No? So snake here, mga snake po, hindi maganda. Kasi nasa illness siya. Sa center ng Feng Shui, snake nasa center. Medyo illness, ingat tayo lahat. Pero sa pera, boom talaga tayo, maraming pera tayo. No? Kasi 2024 magulo. Pero sa snake year, tingin natin ng star natin, medyo may pera tayo lahat po.
Magkakapera.
Makakapera. But the government, magulo lang, away-away, election, magulo lang po.
However, those born under the pig zodiac sign are advised to be extra cautious. The year is also less favorable for those born in the year of the tiger and monkey. A lucky tip from Tita Maxi for businesses. Those involving wood-based materials are expected to flourish. For additional luck, she said, consider placing a prosperity basket on your dining table.
December 31, lalagay natin. Meron siya pineapple. Pag bumili ka, kasama na itong pineapple, God of wealth, money, pera natin, yung powerful, abacus, calculator natin. Tapos 3 coin, never short out of cash. Ito yung pau-pau para puno ang pera. Ito para hindi tayo makasakit. Ito yung tai shui card, protection lahat. Ito nilalagay sa unan para may pera tayo. Tapos kung may pera kayo, tupi nyo. Wag lang dollar kasi pag dollar mahirap magpalit. Pag naktupo, ganun lang, saksak nyo. Gawin niyo maraming kulay. Ganun lang.
Tita Maxi also suggests including 13 different kinds of rounded fruits and sweets beside the basket as offerings for a prosperous year. On January 3, the rice in the basket can be cooked and eaten.
Makwis kayo, the angel, lahat na angel bumababa sa December 31. Yan ang the best.
Lucky wallets also vary in color depending on your birth element. Black for water, silver for metal, and fuchsia for fire. Popular lucky items include figurines, fortune plants, money trees, and lucky lanterns. Feng Shui expert Emmy Wantala purchased her own charm, emphasizing that Feng Shui is personal. There's no one-size-fits-all charm for everyone.
Ang pinakamainam po na gawin ng bawat Pilipino is maging positive lang. Matutunan po natin magpatawad kung meron po tayong mga nasaktan. So pagpapatawad po ang kailangan doon. At kailangan sa akin kasi pagka ang isang tao ay medyo toxic na kasama ko, umiiwas ako. Ganon. Kailangan ang mindset mo lagi ay yung sa hinaharap. Kalimutan na yung past.
Feng Shui expert emphasized that these are merely guides. Ultimately, a person's actions determine their own luck or misfortune. Most importantly, they remind everyone to trust in God, who will protect and guide us in the coming year. Francis Polbe, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
And those are the news this hour. I am Anne Asis-Carilo. From all of us here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel, we wish you a happy and prosperous new year.